One of the biggest projects in 2025 has been Aster, and more recently, a lot of traction has been going towards it on top of getting listed on Robinhood. Aster did extremely well, not only from a token price appreciation after CZ posted about it at 17 cents, going all the way to $2.50, but those who got in early, who farmed the airdrop very early before Aster got a lot of publicity, they did very, very well. And mind you, some of the people who got tokens from early farming of Aster that may have been worth only about $3,000 at the beginning, once the token actually appreciated in value after CZ and it hit an all-time high, some people's airdrops were worth like $60,000, $70,000. Just absolutely insane because there was so little competition. Well, the reason I talk about Aster is because the project we're going to be looking at in today's video called Vooi has a lot of similarities. Now, the biggest difference is if you're watching this video, you're still very, very early to the likes of Vooi. And in today's video, we're going to show you 3 different opportunities when it comes to participating in farming Vooi and making sure you're getting as much bang for your buck, essentially, and maximizing your overall allocation up to 25x, how you can multi-farm Vooi with other platforms, including Hyperliquid, Orderly, and Ostium. Just a lot of really, really great information. We're gonna have it all broken down in the video, in the chapters down below if you wanna skip to different parts. But that said, if you're new here, my name is Alex. We talk about crypto news, crypto passive income. If you enjoy content like that, consider subscribing. If you enjoyed this video, smash up a like. Without further ado, let's end the video. So when you take a look at Vooi, what makes it stand out? Well, the biggest difference between Vooi as a perp dex compared to all the other perp dexes that you have out there is it's what's called a perp dex aggregator. Essentially, Vooi ties into other perp dexes, and on Voi's platform, you can trade pairs, whether that's commodities, Forex, stocks, crypto, all through Vooi through other platforms. So for example, you can tie in with the likes of Hyperliquid, Ostium, or Orderly, and if you have capital on those platforms, you can trade all those through Vooi instead of having 3 or 4 separate tabs open. It makes it very, very seamless and makes it very efficient. And that is a huge aspect to the success of Vooi. Now, when you look at Vooi and some of the comparisons that a lot of people draw between Vooi and Aster is Vooi is also backed by Yeezy Labs, previously Binance Labs, which is one of the big aspects behind of the success of Aster because you also had CZ talk about it. Now, CZ also previously talked about the fact that Binance or Yeezy Labs is investing in a lot of dexes. They believe dexes are the future. So not only do you have a specific perp dex, you have a perp dex aggregator. There's really no other competitor to the likes of Vooi, and that's what makes it very much stand out in this space. When you look at overall volume, the volume has been steadily increasing, especially as you're starting to see this right here, but it is still relatively small in comparison. When you consider the fact that it's had about $2.5 billion in trading volume in the last 30 days, Aster is sitting at about 150 billion. So it is still small, and that is awesome because that allows you to get in early before a lot more attention comes to it. Now, here's some other things that, some more tidbits, if you will, as far as some of the things that make the likes of Vooi more interesting. Obviously backed by Yeezy Labs. Also backed by Consensus, which is pretty big, and then ZK Accelerator. Cross-chain and aggregator support, integrates dexes like Orderly, KyloX, Sin Futures, Hyperliquid, EB, and non-EVM ones such as Blast, Linea, and other details. You can kind of read through it here, but I'm not going to go into a whole lot of intricacies behind Vooi. But it also recently has a collaboration with Ostium, which is more focused on Forex and commodities. So let's take a look at the platform itself to kind of better understand how this overall layout works. Now, I currently have 2 trades open. I have 3 trades open, one on gold, on silver, and on palladium. Now, for me, when it comes to the opportunity of Vooi, is I like Vooi because I can trade on Ostium. And what I mean by that is I can have essentially multi-farming going through Vooi. I earn points on Vooi while I'm earning points on Ostium, and you could do the same thing with Hyperliquid or with Orderly, because essentially the capital that you have on those projects if you have $100 on Ostium, you can trade that directly through Vooi. So it places a trade on Ostium when you trade on Vooi, and you're getting points in both protocols. So you're double dipping in this instance, which is absolutely huge because Ostium also doesn't have a token yet. There's a point system with an expectation of an airdrop. Same thing that happens with Vooi. So there is a pro version, there is a light version. I think for most people, if you're very much involved in trading, you're probably gonna be looking at the pro version, but it also does have a degen mode under the light version, which allows you to use an insane amount of leverage, which I typically don't recommend, but that is an option for those that are interested. There's a point system. Like I said, there are some details as far as getting more points that make it super, super unique. So the more points that you earn, the more trading volume that you do, the more percentage and boosts that you can have. There's also certain boosts depending on which platform you're connecting with, whether you're using Orderly, whether you're using Hyperliquid or Ostium. So I'll show you that in just a second. But this is going to be the biggest thing. So if you take a look at Vooi and you go over to Pro, this is what I want to showcase. So right now you have Hyperliquid, you have Orderly, and Ostium. Now, obviously everyone's familiar with Hyperliquid. There's a lot of speculation as to whether a second season airdrop is going to happen for Hyperliquid, which would be fantastic because not only are you going to be farming Hyperliquid, you're also farming Vooi. Same thing with Orderly. For those not familiar, I talked about Orderly a while back, but Orderly is essentially a white label platform where you build your own perp decks with a couple of clicks of a button, and you can have your own perp decks with your own name, with your own brand, with your own logo, everything directly through Orderly and tie into their liquidity. It's really, really cool. And so when you take a look at what Vooi is doing, like I said, it's different compared to what everybody else is doing in the industry. When you take a look at, your Apex, your Pacificas, your Titans, they're all kind of similar, just on different layer ones or on different blockchains. But this is super interesting what Vooi is doing because it's not like anything else out there. So we've talked about what is Vooi. We've talked about some of the uniqueness behind it as far as you're able to tie in through different platforms and you're able to earn points. So for example, you can see my trading score and my points. Through Ostium, I'm collecting while at the same time collecting points on Vooi for placing trades through the platform. Now, let's talk about the airdrop opportunity itself, because the airdrop opportunity through Vooi, I think, is going to be very, very, very amazing. I think that's probably the best way to say it, but I think a lot of people are underappreciating the potential of this because the one thing that made Aster's initial stage 1 airdrop so valuable wasn't because of the token price. It was the fact that there was so few people farming it. So the competition was a lot less and the allocation was a lot more for those who were actually involved. Now, post that, what we started to see in stage 2 is a lot of wash trading, a lot of people drumming up a lot of volume. And for those that got in late to Aster, you just couldn't make a whole lot because you were just eaten up with fees. But the beauty behind Vooi is you're early enough that you can get enough points with Vooi because of the low competition. Now, that competition is going to increase because of the campaigns that are coming out, which is the one thing that I want to talk about because there are some opportunities and ways to get badges. Now, sometimes these badges are going to may have value, they may not have value, but it's things to consider because some of these with certain airdrop criteria could increase your overall allocation depending on some of the badges that you may or may not receive. So be mindful of these. There's not any currently available, but keep an eye on the tab. You can go to more and click badges to see upcoming badges or ones that are possibly going to be available. So you can see here, there was a campaign on Ostium that you can trade on Ostium and then get a badge. So may have a value in the future, may not, something to always keep an eye on. Also, they have a profile on Galaxy. So be mindful that maybe there is something that comes up on Galaxy that allows you to also participate in the project when it comes to farming the airdrop through Vooi specifically. The thing about Vooi is using Vooi, you can farm Hyperliquid, Orderly, and Ostium, but you also farm Vooi at the same time. Now, I want to talk about the aspect of its collab with Cookie.fun. Now, Cookie.fun is a SocialFi platform similar to like what you would have with like wall chain cracks and what you would have with the likes of Kato. Now, the big thing behind this is it is a separate allocation. So you have the Vooi airdrop, which is the points you get through Vooi. You also have the potential airdrop of Vooi through Ostium, Vooi through Hyperliquid, Vooi through Orderly, and now you have an entirely separate potential airdrop through Cookie.fun, where 1.92% of the total supply is going away to this. Now, this is a huge opportunity that I think not enough people are paying attention to, because when I look at this list, I started this just yesterday and I'm ranked 361 and I don't even have like 1/100th of a snap. And so to compare, that means I'm literally at the bottom of the list as of now out of 361 people. So there's only like maybe 400 people in total participating in what could be 2% of, or what is almost 2% of the total supply. So it's severely underfarmed, but the biggest takeaway is the 25x multiplier. And it's very important because I want to show this to you, because by getting the 25x multiplier, you can get a higher allocation, even though you may not have a big audience on X. So Cookie.fun and a lot of these social platforms primarily offer airdrops based on, or the people that typically get the bigger airdrops are ones that have bigger audiences, that get more reach, that get more likes, get more views, etc. Now, the difference is, if I want to compare Leshka and Marco here, number 1 and number 3, where you see that Marco has more snaps, which are earned directly through actually posting content and getting views on that content, while Leshka has less snaps, so less views, less likes, comments, etc., less engagement. But Leshka has 650 C snaps while Marco has only 73. And you may ask, why is that? And that is because of the multiplier. You can see a 25x multiplier versus an 8x multiplier makes a huge difference between first and third, even though Marco has more snaps. So how do you earn this? Well, it's done primarily through 3 separate ways. By staking Cookie on whether it's BNB chain or on Base. So if you go over to here, you essentially can go and select BNB or Base, and then just select how many days you're going to lock it up for. For me, I did a lockup for 365 days because there's going to be other projects I'm going to be participating in. So I staked Cookie in order to also get a boost. Now, this I think takes a little bit of time to show up, so I haven't seen it quite yet. And it also collecting Vooi points. So you need a minimum of 2,500 points, and points are distributed every Tuesday. More points, bigger multipliers. By getting Vooi points, you have to trade on Vooi. So that is a huge aspect of getting the C snaps. C snaps require capital deployment. That's what this talks about here. Your snaps are boosted by the multiplier only when you have your capital deployed. So whether you're deploying capital with staking Cookie or by earning points through Vooi. So it's very important. And the last multiplier is up to 10x with referring people to Vooi. So with this, there are some requirements to get more people onto Vooi. So you get up to a 25x multiplier and a massive opportunity for what could be one of the larger perpdex airdrops since we've seen Aster. So I think there's a lot of opportunity in this, not because maybe the value of it is going to be immense starting off. I think the massive opportunity is in the fact that it's severely underfarmed and there's not a lot of competition, which is typically oftentimes the best. Now, I expect competition to grow as this campaign just started a couple of days ago. There's going to be a lot more attention on Vooi. Who knows, if CZ from Binance posts about Vooi, then even more attention is going to come to the project. So I want to make sure you're early to it so you can get as much out of it as possible. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you tried out Vooi? Have you tried out other platforms like Ostium, where you can trade gold, silver, palladium, titanium, copper, oil? Super cool. And have you checked out some of these platforms? I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed this video, smash up the like. You enjoy content like this, consider subscribing. That said, all the links are going to be down below. If you want to join using my Vooi link, it'll also be down there. But with that said, until next time, guys, stay invested.